Today you'll find out why Sentinels are the most versatile, interesting, and at the same time one of the most challenging roles in Valorant. Not only will you learn how to play this role effectively, but I'll also show you some secret tricks you definitely didn't know before. Meet Mr. Tony. You might remember him from my previous video about support agents. He's already mastered playing as initiator and is now taking on a new challenge, Sentinels. First, let's figure out if this role is right for you. To make it easier, I'll briefly explain the key responsibilities of a Sentinel. Holding side entries. The main job of a Sentinel is to slow down and disorient enemies when they try to push onto a side. That's why all Sentinels have powerful abilities to help them lock down areas. Staying alive as long as possible. I've mentioned this in my video about supports, but here it's a bit different. As a Sentinel, you often play around your setups and hold deep angles inside the side. While your abilities delay the enemy push, your job is to buy time for your team to rotate. However, once your teammates have rotated and you use most of your utility, you're free to play more aggressively. Playing alone. You often find yourself holding a site alone. While your team gathers information and moves around the map, your job is to make sure the site isn't left unguarded. After all, Sentinels are designed to be self-sufficient defenders. Lurking. Sentinel abilities are incredibly strong on defense, but they lost some of their impact on attack. That's why if you enjoy playing as a lurker and flanking enemies, this role may be perfect for you. I hope this got you interested. Now let's take a deeper look at the Sentinels so you can decide whether this role suits you, or if you'd rather wait for my next video. I've divided this video into two main sections, defending and attacking. Let's start with the defense. To play Sentinels effectively, you'll need to learn some setups for specific agents. And our main character, Mr. Tony, already know a few. Let's take Heaven as an example. Tony sets up his traps and waits for enemies. They push the tide and everything worked perfectly. Easy kills purely based on his creativity. But now the enemies know where Deadlocks is playing and where she plays her traps. So they decide to push through Garage instead, and it works. So what now? Does this mean Tony's setups is suddenly useless? Not at all. The setup itself is fine, but there's two types of setups you should know. First, default setups like the one Tony just used. Second, team-oriented setups designed to work with your teammates. For example, if enemies keep exploiting a gap in your defense by pushing Garage, why not place one of your traps to support your teammate? Not only does this help seal out that weak spot, but it also gives you more freedom to play around the site, since an area you couldn't watch effectively before is now under your complete control. Here's another example. Let's say Tony usually plays his traps in the same spots. Instead of completely changing the setup, let's slightly reposition them. Now when the enemies push again, they'll check all the old spots and find nothing. But the moment they step onto the side, boom, they fall right into the same trap as before. By making small changes like these, your setup stays just as effective while becoming much less predictable. The more you switch things up, the more you'll force enemies to slow down and waste time clearing every possible trap location. Keep tweaking your setups and staying one step ahead. Let's add one small point to this section about setups. Specifically, I want to talk about retake setups. Most of the time, traps are placed at an entry points, and that's definitely a solid choice. But let's say your team has, for example, 3 ultimates ready. In that case, you can set up specifically for retake. To do this, let's place our traps deeper inside the site. This time will actually allow the enemies to take control of the plant, playing off the late information that our setups will provide. The idea is that not only are these types or traps usually completely unpredictable, giving you an easy kill, but they also help your team gather intel on how to properly use their ultimates for retake. My peasant, Mr. Tony, is playing Killjoy and holding B. His team calls out that 2 enemies were spotted near A site and a single smoke has been dropped there. Tony like a sponge absorbs the info and immediately rotates to help his teammates. Sounds good, right? Well, Not quite. The enemy team had a lurker who walked into the now empty B site, gathered intel and led his team to an easy plant. So what went wrong? It's as simple. Tony rotated too early. But hey, mistakes are lesson in disguise. Next round, Tony takes backs to cover the site. He's ready for the lurker this time. Or is he? This time the lurker goes through mid instead and wipes out Tony's entire team from behind. So how do you know when to rotate and where to position yourself? Don't rush into the action based on the first piece of intel. Instead, adjust your positioning based on what you know. Let's go back to the previous rounds. Most of the enemy team is spotted near A. Your team rotates to reinforce A. What should you do as a site ensure? Instead of leaving your site completely, try reposition to market. Why? Utility still gather info of enemies pushing B main. You can watch for lurkers who may try to flank through mid. If the enemy quickly rotates through mid, you'll hear them and warn your team. This way you control two crucial positions without overcommitting and stay unpredictable. Only fully rotate when you're 100% sure the enemy is committing to a side push. Alright, Tony now understands rotations, but there's another problem. The enemies keep rushing A every round. His team is struggling to stop them, and Tony's traps on B haven't been triggered once. Hey Tony, it's time to switch sides. And yeah, this is a great strategy. You can switch your position every round if you can read the enemy's tendencies. But let's break down this specific situation since it happens often. Tony switched from B to A. He set up all his utility, traps, turret, everything. The enemies aren't expected it all. They run into an unexpected killjoy setup and get shot down. Result, a 3-round win. More importantly, they'll think twice before blindly rushing again. Now they'll have to waste more utility, play more cautiously, and make more mistakes. So remember this, don't be afraid to swap sides with your teammate if one area is constantly under attack. Adapt, track enemy behavior, and make their life harder. Mr. Tony has spent 100 hours playing Sentinels and has realized something. It's kind of boring. Is defending a site really just about waiting around every round? Yeah and no. We already talked about passive playstyles and setups, but let's explore a different approach. You can actually use Sentinel's abilities aggressively too. Sage Wall can be used to take an unexpected angle. Cypher's camera can be placed deep into an enemy territory for early intel. If your camera spots no enemies, why not push behind them for an easy frag? As long as you disrupt the enemy, you're still doing your job. Just don't get greedy, grab a kill, gather intel and safely fall back to your side. Hey, Tony, I hope this makes your role a little more exciting. A common mistake among Sentinels is wasting their utility too early. Some agents like Killjoy and Cypher rely on setups, which is straightforward. But what about agents like Sage and Wise? Let's take Split as an example. Tony thinks it's a good idea to block mid with a Sage wall at the start of the round. Sounds reasonable, right? Yeah, but not always. The wall is great, but now Tony has no flexibility. When the wall breaks, he has nothing left for retake. He could have saved it to block off the spike in the post plant. Or he could have used it to pick from an unexpected angle. Same with the wide spikes. Using them in a setup is fine, but enemies will eventually adapt. So, why not hold onto one spike and use it reactively when enemies push your teammate? Each can distract and disorient enemies, prevent them from quickly trading kills. Tony, remember, your utility is precious. Don't just drop everything at the start, use it smartly through the round. Now that you understand defense, let me share some hidden tricks. Cypher. Place your camera on your head, allowing you to shoot through it while enemies need an extra shot to hit you. Killjoy. You can throw nades behind the textures, or even outside the map, to catch enemies off guard. Deadlock. Her sensor works through walls. Here are few overpowered placements for it. Now we move to attack, and Tony is lost again. His abilities don't seem great for attacking. Yes and no. First, your role remains the same. You're responsible for watching the flanks so your teammates can focus forward. But then what? Do you lurk behind enemies or push with your team? It depends. Take Split for example. Sage usually walls B main early in the round. If your agent plays a key role in default execute, play with your team instead of lurking. However, if lurking is your playstyle, remember one crucial thing. Your team's success comes first. Imagine Tony flanks perfectly and get 2 kills. Amazing, right? Wait, his entire team is already dead? There are 20 seconds left and he has no chance to clutch. Something went wrong. If you are lurking, make sure to create opportunities for your team, distract the enemy at the right moment. Don't just wander silently, gather intel and call for rotation if needed. Your goal isn't just sneaking around, it's disrupting enemy defense and exposing their weaknesses. And here are some secret attack tricks. If you are playing Killjoy, your bot can be just as useful in attack. Place it to check common enemy hiding spots. As wise, you can throw your flash over large obstacles, making it way more effective. Chamber can take an inspected position using his teleport. Don't forget to take advantage of this in attack. That's everything I wanted to share about Sentinels. I think now you can really decide if this role is for you. In the meantime, I'll start working on a new video for you. So, don't forget to drop a like, leave a comment about what I might miss or which role you should cover next, and subscribe, it really helps. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.